Already, we have already reached week 8 of the NFL season. The season's really flying by at this point. Already week 8 feels like it just started yesterday, but we actually have an exciting breakdown of games here. Some of them are really obvious, in my opinion, and then some of them are just unbelievably difficult coin flips. And the Thursday night game is a little bit more interesting now, but we're going to start with Minnesota and the Rams and the Thursday night cap. Have had a great record on Thursday night so far this year. The only loss that I've had so far on Thursday night was the Tampa Atlanta game, and Tampa kind of gave that one away. But this one I thought at first was a lot tougher, but I think I was making it harder than I thought. Give me Minnesota 24-20. I think that the Rams are going to put up a good fight. I think it's going to be a great game. And I was going back and forth on it. But you have Minnesota coming off a really tight loss in just what was a really good matchup in their previous game. And I think they get it done. I think this Minnesota team is like unbelievably legit. A possible could run the table in the NFC if everything goes right for them. But I have them winning against the Rams here 24-20. We move on to the Sunday cap of games. And we go to Cincinnati, Philadelphia. Both teams coming off wins. Both teams didn't really have that big of a test the previous week. I predicted that Philadelphia the previous week with Saquon Barkley, he was going to run wild. That's exactly what he did. Pretty predictable there. If you look at the Bengals, they beat a Browns team that has just been struggling this year. And I thought they danced around a little bit in that game too much. But I am going to take the Bengals 22-19. I just don't like the situation that's going on with the head coach over in Philadelphia. That situation just looks really ugly to me. And I think the main factor that they were able to win so convincingly last week was Saquon Barkley was going to go off. That was inevitable. That was going to happen. That him to have over 100 yards was like the safest bet of all time that I've seen in recent memory. Next up, we go to Baltimore versus the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, done for the season, debatably done for his career. That's a story for another day. But the Baltimore Ravens are coming off a great win against Tampa Bay. Lamar Jackson, he has just looked incredible this year. He's blowing his numbers from his MVP numbers from last year, getting blown out of the water by him, which is crazy. I think, in my opinion, he is just having a ridiculous season. The dual threat ability. He made some great passes in that game against Tampa Bay. Maybe the most electrifying player in the NFL today. And I'm going to take Baltimore big here. Cleveland most likely, and I'm going to take them 34-7. Cleveland most likely is going to play DTR. If they don't play DTR, because I know he has the thumb injury, they might play Jameis Winston. Either way you go here, I just think it's going to look rough. I think that they're tanking at this point. I think it's pretty clear. 34-7, give me Baltimore. Next, we go to the Detroit Lions versus the Tennessee Titans. And Detroit coming off a really big week. We got a good win. And I was really, concerned at first with Detroit after that loss of Aiden Hutchinson. Like, would they miss a step? And I don't think they did. I don't think they missed a step. In Tennessee, obviously, you have the liabilities for them that they've shown through this year. Give me Detroit 28-17. I think that Tennessee makes it interesting in the first half, as they're known to do, but they kind of give they give the game away to the Lions towards the end of this. 28-17 at Detroit. Next up, we go to the Arizona Cardinals versus the Miami Dolphins. And I think in this one that I'm gonna go with Arizona 20-17. I thought Kyler Murray had a pretty impressive game in the last matchup against the Chargers. The Chargers aren't a bad team either by any stretch, and I just think Miami has kind of struggled in certain categories. Without Tua, it's just tough for them. Don't have a really legitimate backup quarterback. There's just been a lot of issues with Miami, so give me Arizona 20-17 in this one. Next up, you go to the struggling Jets and the struggling Patriots. Both teams really struggling. Patriots might be the worst, at least without question, one of the worst teams in the NFL. The Jets 2-5. Just I'll give Devontae Adams a bit of a break. It was his first game in the new system, but at the same time, he's got the same. It's the same system he was pretty much in Green Bay. You got the same guy throwing you the ball. It's probably very similar They're definitely going to win this game, but I don't think it's that convincingly. The Jets spread right now sits at -7. I don't think they cover that. I think that's kind of ridiculous given how they've played recently. So give me the Jets 15-10, but it's an ugly, ugly win, in my opinion. They beat them pretty big last time, but I think this one's an uglier win. So 15-10 in that one. Next up, you go to the Falcons versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And obviously, Tampa Bay, they lose Mike Evans, they lose Chris Godwin. Terrible, terrible way to end that game with the injuries, the toll that it took on them. That's why I have to take Atlanta 21-14. I just think that Tampa Bay is not going to have the guys. They're not going to have the weapons in this one, just considering what they lost the previous game. It's probably a bit demoralizing. I still think Baker has a solid game, but I just don't see a way where they win this game without those two guys. Next up, we go to Green Bay versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have, they've been on a bit of a, streak of wins here with Trevor Lawrence, and I know it was the Patriots, but still they looked pretty decent. The Brian Thomas guy, I will just say, because I feel like I don't mention a lot about Jacksonville. The one positive that they have is that the Brian Thomas guy is legit. He's a legit wide receiver one, in my opinion. From what I've seen so far, he looks pretty legit. But Green Bay is going to win this game. I got it 30-20 in their favor. Green Bay, just a team that is really going to have a shot to run the table in the NFC. Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs has been playing pretty well. I've been a fan of what they've done so far. Give me them 30-20 in this one. Next up, we go to the Colts and the Houston Texans. I expect Houston to get a bounce-back win here, 27-23. I think it'll be a closer game. The first time these guys played earlier this year, it was a close game. They seem to always play competitive battles. So I don't think this one strays from that. I think it's a close game. And like I said, Houston, I don't think they cover the spread of -6, but they get the win. I still think it's a close game, though, 27-23. Next up, we go to the reeling Saints and the Chargers, who are coming off a tough loss where they didn't score a touchdown in the previous game. I still think they bounce back, though. I think they win 17-7. I think Dobbins has a little bit better of a game. Justin Herbert's just running into the issue right now. And this was an issue that people seem like they're surprised, but I don't know why they are. They just don't have the receiving depth right now to be a serious contender in the AFC or to be like a division contender. They don't have the receiving depth. That was something that was going to come later, but they're going to beat the Saints in this game. Even if Derek Carr plays, he's not going to be as nimble and prepared to go in there as he is. And if they played Rattler, I think it's safe to say that he's just not that. It's a tough situation for him, but he's not going to come in here and win this game. Next up, you go to the Bills and the Seahawks. I will take the Bills. I think that they are a lot better team with Amari Cooper, just because you have that guy that's he's gonna make big plays for them in certain spots. I think this is a close game, but I think the Bills pull away, and I think it's 20-14. I just think that's been big. But I will say, Geno has played pretty well in some of these bigger marquee matchups. I will give him that. Next up, you go to the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos. And Denver, they looked good off their last win. I think they win 24-17. I don't think they blow out the Carolina Panthers by any means, but I do think that Denver is looking a lot more solid. Bo Nick's starting to look more and more like he's going to work with Sean Payton. I just kind of figured, as I think I've said in a lot of these videos, but I just kind of figured that Sean Payton, I just figured whatever quarterback he drafted would work. He really good offensive head coach. And this is becoming a Denver team where could they get in that wild card discussion by the end of the year? That's going to be something to watch. But 24-17 in this one against Carolina, in my opinion. Next on, you go to the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Kansas City gets another kind of, I would say, easier opponent this week. I think they're going to win 21-18. I think it's going to be that one game of the year where the other team is just in the battle with them. It's close. Maybe they're trailing for a little bit, but they find a way to win, find a way to keep the undefeated record going. Their spread is 10 here. Usually when the spread's that high, in my opinion, it's just most of the time they're not going to just cover that. And I think it's a closer game than we think. Next up, you have Chicago and Washington. a game where Jaden Daniels is a bit knocked up. He's not in the best condition. Even if he does play this game, he's kind of hurt. That Bears defense is legit. They're a legit thing. Caleb Williams has been playing better. I'm going to take, just because of the Jaden Daniels factor, that there's a bit of injuries going on, give me the Bears 30-29. It's an instant classic game, in my opinion. Great battle, but I think it's real close. Could go either way. But just given the Jaden Daniels injury and everything that seems like it's going on, give me the Bears 30-29. Then we go to Sunday Night Football. We go to the Cowboys, a team that is just getting a lot of criticism, obviously. Jerry Jones saying some pretty outlandish stuff to the media from what I've been hearing recently. Just kind of making things uncomfortable within that organization. The Niners on a bit of a losing streak. Purdy, 3 interceptions in the last game. It's starting to get to the point where it's like, how good of a quarterback is he? Is he worth that $55 million a year that he's going to be asking for when he's looking for a contract? I think San Francisco gets the win, though. Even though Ayuk's out, even though Debo's out, I just think Dallas is reeling right now. I think they're really reeling right now, and I think it's 30-21 in this one. 30-21, San Francisco. I think they cover the spread. I think it's a closer game than the score maybe puts down. Maybe they get a field goal at the end. That's what I think. But I think the Niners find a way to win this. Then we go on to Monday Night Football. You go to the Giants and the Red Hot Steelers. Steelers are playing really well. I actually think that Russell Wilson might have unlocked. He throws the ball from the pocket better. And the more that I was thinking about this with Russell Wilson is the team that he's playing with right now is more tailored to what has worked before for him. His best years were with that Seattle team, and what was the years that they won the championship at least, their main claim to fame was that defense. He's in a position where the Steelers' main claim to fame is their defense as well. He knows how to win big games when that's the case. So I like the Steelers 25-19 against the Giants. I think the Giants put up somewhat of a fight. But as I said, go to 6-2. I'm excited for this one, and I will be back for week 9.